Hello again, welcome inside the International Bowling Campus in Arlington, Texas. This is BowlTV Live. I'm Matt Lawson alongside USBC Director of Coaching Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, and we're going to have another special guest coming up in a few minutes.
Shannon O'Keefe will be joining us. We have a big event coming up here the first week in January, Team USA Trials. She's going to be here to answer your questions. Any questions you have about team trials, what to expect, she'll be here to answer them. Yes,
if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can go ahead and just get involved in the chat there. We're also accepting questions for Shannon on our Facebook page as well. The idea of this show, of course, to meet some of the people who make the sport of bowling go. We've got some of the best and the brightest here on campus. Also learn about some of the programs. There's always something that we're working on here at USBC. And we're going to get you some coaching, and that's where we're going to begin today, and why Carolyn is such a great asset for us to have. It doesn't really matter what ball you've got in your hand. It doesn't matter how much you're able to turn it down the lane. If you don't have a physical game to start with, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, one of the best things you can always remember, any great athlete has said the same thing. Your basic foundation is what's going to make you the most successful as you learn the sport. That's what everybody has said. It's learning that basic approach, the 4-step delivery for the beginner bowler, and the 5-step, which you'll see here soon what the difference is. If you learn that the proper way from the very beginning, it's going to make enjoying the sport and learning how to progress much easier.
Yeah, and this really is where it all starts. And we've got one of the great tools in all of bowling, the International Training and Research Center, right downstairs here in this building. Earlier, Stephen Padilla talking a little bit about what the 4-step and 5-step approach, how they differ. This is a great basic start to exactly how you should get yourself going. So take a quick look.
I'm USBC Coaching Specialist Stephen Padilla. Today we're going to talk about the 4 and the 5-step approach. We're going to talk about the benefits of both the 4 and the 5, as well as give you an example using our model Jason. The 4-step approach is recommended for beginning bowlers because it provides a foundation to build consistency and accuracy. On average, it takes 4 steps for the ball to go through the entire motion, the push away, the backswing, the downswing, and the release. It's important that bowlers use the 4-step approach in one smooth, fluid motion. 4 steps accomplish that easy goal, out, down, back, and through. The first step of the 5 simply gets the bowler started, gets them into their approach, and the second step of their 5-step approach is actually the first step of what will be a 4-step approach. So it's simply 4 steps, adding a momentum step. If you're choosing between the 4 and the 5-step approach, and you need a little extra momentum, the 5-step approach is going to give you that extra step to increase the momentum throughout your swing. Either approach will give you great results, whether you're using 4 or 5-step, so choose the one that fits best for you.
For the beginning bowler or somebody who's really just starting out for the first time, you may not notice a big difference between the 4 and 5-step, but there is a subtle difference. It's 1 step. But let's go back just a little bit. When you're learning, ask a coach. A USBC certified coach will get you going in the right direction and teach you the 4-step delivery. The key is, if you're right-handed, you're going to start moving the ball on the first step. Right foot, right arm will start at the same time. Reverse it for a left-hander. The left arm and the left foot will start at the same time. That's how easy the 4-step delivery is. All we're doing with the 5-step delivery is adding a little small step. Some people call it a half a step. Some people call it a full step. Right before that 4-step delivery. So if you're right-handed, you're going to start with your left foot and then push with that right foot once it starts into that second step. That's the key difference between a 4 and 5-step approach. The ball should always be moving on that second step in the 5-step and on the first step in the 4-step.
One of the great things about being on the internet like this is, like we said earlier, we can take your questions, and certainly about this topic, we've already had a few. We're going to check in with Lucas Wiseman now. He is monitoring all of the social media that there is to monitor. Lucas, what have you got for us?
Well, guys, we've got a couple of questions here for Carolyn. One comes from Aaron Goodman, who's a fan of USBC on Facebook. Aaron says, in my 5-step approach, I'm struggling to push the ball out on the second step because I always end up pushing the ball out a little too early, which in turn throws off my timing. Carolyn, what would you suggest I do to fix this?
I have a really easy fix for that one, and it's going to take a little practice because it's going to feel a lot different from what you're doing, because you've mentioned that you're a little early with your push. So now you're going to feel a little bit later, but go to a 4-step delivery. First thing I want you to do is move up on the approach just a little bit. I don't want to move you up too much because I don't want you to feel a little crowded. Move up just a little bit on the approach and practice a 4-step delivery. Like I said, right-handed bowler, as soon as you get set up, that arm and right foot will move at the same time. It's almost like a string in the palm of your hand is attached to that right foot, and it will move on that first step. Practice that 4-step approach over and over again, and even practice just taking that first step over and over, swinging the ball a little bit to get the feel of when that ball and foot are supposed to move together. After you create a feel, go back to where you normally stand, go back to your 5-step delivery, and let's see if that helps.
Yeah, and we want to move on to another kind of related topic, which is ball speed. And you're talking about the 4-step versus the 5-step, and if you get a little of that momentum going, that you can pick up your speed a little bit. A lot of people, I think that if they just throw their arm harder, you know, the harder you throw it, the faster it's going to go. Not exactly the case. And Team USA assistant coach Brian O'Keefe has more for us on how ball speed is actually more related to the feet than to the arm.
Hi, I'm Brian O'Keefe, assistant coach at Team USA and also assistant coach at the International Training and Research Center. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some misconceptions regarding increasing and decreasing your ball speed. I've brought with me Hall of Famer and also Team USA assistant coach Kim Kearney to show us a few things about how to do it. First, Kim's going to throw her baseline ball speed, which is the same footwork, same swing speed, and everything the same. One of the big misconceptions about increasing ball speed is that a lot of people end up using their upper body to try and throw the ball faster. Well, with that comes loss of accuracy, more muscle, and more tension throughout the swing. Really what we want to do is increase our footwork or increase the pace that we're moving our feet. So by doing that, we want to lower the ball a little bit in our stance and then just allow our footwork to naturally go a little bit faster to see that increase in ball speed. So we're going to have Kim show us one. So conversely, in order to throw the ball a little bit slower, we want to move up on the approach and raise the ball in our stance a little bit. What this will do will allow our footwork to naturally go a little bit slower as it waits for our swing to be finished at the release point. So let's have Kim show us and demonstrate one. So to recap, in order to throw the ball faster, we want to move back on the approach a little bit, lower the ball roughly 3 to 4 inches in our swing, and allow our footwork and the pace of our footwork to naturally be faster. In order to throw the ball slower, we want to do the opposite. We want to raise the ball a little bit, move up on the approach so that our footwork is naturally going to be slower, waiting for our swing. You should see increased scores and better accuracy by doing this.
Ball speed. It's something that people want to control. We have this 15-pound weight in our hand and we figure, you know what, we're just going to throw it slower, or oh, we're going to throw it harder. It doesn't really work like that. As you can see, let's relate it to a 4-step approach. The first thing I do is I'm a 5-step approach, but when I want to throw it slower, I scoot up on the approach and I hold the ball just a little bit higher to make my swing a little longer, so I will decrease my ball speed and actually move me a little closer to the line so that I take 4 steps, not the 5. When I want to increase my ball speed, I move back to my normal start position, take my normal 5 steps. That starter step helps me get the momentum going so that I can increase my ball speed naturally by just swinging it naturally from the shoulder, not doing it in a forced way. So that's 2 things you can try. Now, the other thing you can do is, even with the 5-step, feel free to try it when you're practicing on your own. Move up a little bit on the approach. Still take your 5 steps, hold the ball up a little higher, incorporate 2 things to try to decrease your ball speed. These are things that you can try anytime while you're practicing. Don't try it in league, but when you're practicing alone, these are things you should try to incorporate into your game.
You mentioned when you want to increase ball speed, when you want to decrease ball speed. For those of us who aren't quite as advanced, when are those times? When is it advantageous for me to slow it down, and when should I be picking up the speed?
The easiest way to figure that out is if people feel their ball is not hooking enough, and mostly, we discussed this last week, in the front part of the lane, they feel like the lanes are really oily or have a lot of conditioner on them. We want to hold the ball a little bit higher. So we want to take our speed down a little bit so that that ball gets into a roll a little bit earlier and doesn't go so far down the lane.
Okay, I think we've got some ball speed questions, or at least one of them. Lucas, what do we have?
Yeah, guys, Patricia Lowe is another fan of USBC on Facebook. Carolyn, she wants to know, how do you slow or speed up your ball? Does the position you hold it in make a difference?
Perfect question, because we really just discussed that. Two positions. If you want your ball speed to be decreased just a little bit so you get that ball to roll a little bit sooner on that lane, hold the ball up a little bit higher. Now, by all means, I do not mean if you are holding it waist high, which is usually a natural position, shouldn't be putting it up in front of your face. That's, first of all, that's using way too much muscle. Just increase it up just a little bit where it's comfortable. For example, I hold my ball waist high. I raise it up just a little bit right to about here when I want to decrease my ball speed and get that ball into an earlier roll. When I want to increase my ball speed, here's where I normally am at my waist. I bring it down lower just a little bit. But if you will notice, my body position has stayed the same. We don't move our body at all. All we do is raise the ball up a little bit, lower it a little bit off of your starting position. Easiest way to change your ball speed.
Okay, hopefully you've learned a little bit about approach, you've learned a little bit about ball speed, things that you could put to good use if you were bowling the Team USA trials, which is coming up here in just 6 weeks or so. Did you like that? It was a good segue?
Absolutely.
It was pretty solid.
Perfect.
Yeah, 6 weeks or so, beginning of January in Las Vegas, and there's still time to take your shot at joining up with Team USA and get out there and see if you can make your run for gold as well. We talked with current Team USA member Stephanie Nation recently about what the whole Team USA experience has meant.
Just expect a long week of, grueling day after day, 4 different patterns and just giving it your all every shot. I think it's probably mentally challenging more so than it is physically. Day in and day out, you got to be at the top of your game every day. So, it's definitely a mind game. Of course, you have to be physically talented as well, but, it just takes a lot of time and effort and practice, and it's just nice when it all pays off. It's gratifying. You've worked hard all week and finally your hard work is paid off. All the time that you put in at home, and now, you have your country to represent, so it's great. I say, why not? If, you love the sport, you love our country, why not do both and just be able to compete and meet friends around the world, and, you share the same passion, so it's just been an awesome experience.
And as promised, we have Shannon O'Keefe here with us, who is fresh off her win at the World Women's Championships, Team Gold for the first time in a while. I know that was very exciting.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Just real quick, obviously, the Team USA trials, you've won it. You certainly know what that experience is like. But for the good bowlers out there, it presents quite a challenge, doesn't it? This is about as challenging as it gets.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I've ever bowled that has more pressure. It's an opportunity to represent your country, and I don't know who wouldn't want to do that. If you want to compete at the highest level in your sport, I don't know who wouldn't want to compete for their country. So there's a lot of pressure out there to bowl in this tournament and to bowl well. And yeah, you definitely need to be on the top of your game and work really hard to get there, but it's so worth it.
All the different oil patterns too. From a physical standpoint, it seem like that would be pretty taxing.
Yeah, it can definitely be a little grueling. The year that I won, we bowled on all 5 PBA patterns, and believe we bowled 8 games a day, and that's a lot. And you can have a bad game and knowing you still have 30 more games to bowl, but you have to be able to recover. You have to be able to recover from the bad shots, the bad games, the bad block, because there's a lot of games to recover and still still get to the team. So.
You've been fortunate the last couple of years that you didn't have to bowl it, that you've been named to the team. But remembering back to those times, what's that feeling like when you've bowled your way onto the team? You've made it, and you did it out there on the lanes. That's got to be very gratifying.
Yeah, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing in my career that's ever felt better, other than maybe winning the World Championship. That was pretty awesome. But I remember when I first decided I wanted to try out for the team, I told my husband, I really want to be on this team. I really want to work for it. And we worked and practiced for a year and a half just to try to get me ready. And it's so funny looking back on that 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, how green I was and how just not ready I was, and somehow find a way to pull it out and made the team. And I still feel that like it was yesterday. It was probably one of the most proud moments of my athletic career, not just bowling career.
Very cool. We take questions from the audience here as well. Lucas, I believe you have a question for Shannon.
We do, and Shannon, it comes from Mr. Starboy86 in our
Okay.
chat. He says, what advice do you have for a first-time team trials bowler like myself?
Biggest advice that I can give you is try to stay in the moment. Don't think too far ahead. Try not to get caught up in bad shots. Try to move past those as quickly as possible. Try to practice on as many patterns before you go out there. Really learn ball surfaces. Just try to keep the ball near the pocket. Pick up your spares.
What about the people who may be sitting at home watching this and we're kind of on the brink, don't know if I want to bowl it, might thinking about it?
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody when they say, why bowl this?
Why wouldn't you want to? This is an opportunity to bowl for your country. And I think I will probably want to be on this team until I physically cannot throw a bowling ball any longer. There's no better feeling than bowling for your country. There's no better feeling than representing your country, not just bowling for it. But then to go overseas and work so hard for a goal, and you do it with your team, and you achieve that goal and that accomplishment. I've said this since we won in Hong Kong just a few months ago. I don't think anything in my career will ever top the feeling of winning that team gold with my teammates.
If you're ready to take your shot, bowl.com/tournaments. You can find out all that you need to know about the tournament in January, coming up, 6 weeks from now in Las Vegas. So we want to thank Shannon. We want to thank Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, of course, for being here with us, Lucas Wiseman and Jason Overstreet for all the work they are doing, and thank you for all of your questions and comments and for taking a few minutes out of your day to be here with us. So we'll see you next time. Until then, keep on rolling.